I hope you enjoy this preview of Puerto Rico Forward. You can listen to the full episode on Patreon, where you can also help support this project. You can also find us on iTunes and Google Play. As always, thank you for your time, thank you for listening, y que viva Puerto Rico. Now, as already mentioned, the effects of World War II on Puerto Rico were dire due to the interruption of trade routes between the U.S. and the archipelago. Considering that low incomes and purchasing power characterized the local economy at the time of the war, this event had a further dissuasive effect on the willingness to invest in the colony's economy. To make matters worse, unlike mainland USA, Puerto Rico did not have war industries to absorb surplus labor, and as a result, unemployment increased. As the pressure mounted to address Puerto Rico's economic development, the PPD leadership realized that if private industry alone would not be bold enough to further Puerto Rico's industrialization, the government would need to step in. In order to accomplish success in this role, in 1942, Puerto Rico's legislative body passed legislation to create two government entities that proved paramount to Puerto Rico's economic transformation: the Puerto Rico Development Company, or Compañía de Fomento, and the Puerto Rico Development Bank, or Banco de Fomento. Put simply, the Development Bank's main purpose was to provide loans to enterprises that it determined could drive the economic development and industrialization of Puerto Rico, and to provide liquidity to businesses rejected by private banks who would only provide loans to firms that were already established and profitable. On the other hand, Professor James L. Dietz indicates that from its beginnings, the Development Company had five basic objectives: to carry out research leading to increased use of the archipelago's natural resources in industrial production, to conduct research and testing with respect to the marketing, distribution, and export of Puerto Rican goods, to operate and design a laboratory to provide information and assistance in the production of commodities using local raw materials or those adaptable to local production, to establish and operate firms that would manufacture and distribute goods produced from local materials, and to promote industrial participation by local entrepreneurs and local funds with the goal of avoiding the problems created by large-scale absentee capitalism. As one would expect, the fourth of these objectives, to establish and operate firms that would manufacture and distribute goods produced from local materials, would prove to be the most controversial due to a fear from the private sector towards the idea of a state-backed competitor entering the markets. These concerns were directly addressed by establishing a policy that would specifically prohibit the establishment of any development company subsidiary from competing against private capital. In fact, these subsidiaries would actually be established in order to support private capital by filling the voids of production that private investors had not occupied. The intention was not to compete against the private sector, but rather to support it by pursuing a more integrated local economy.